not to be outdone by the song leader for this sermon, I'm going to ask you to please stand. They love that power, don't they? When I come home, this is what greets me at the front door. This is Charlotte's way to tell me if it's safe to come in or not. On the other side, it says, don't even think about it. No, you know that's not the case. You know that that is here. That sets the tone for you coming into our house. This is our front door. We don't use the front door. And this is, welcome mats like this are almost ubiquitous because that's the whole idea of when you come into our home, to set the premise that you are welcome. Over our kitchen, it says, may your journey always lead you home. Now that's a message to us, but it's a message to our guests as well, because the importance of home. This is our wall of our family, and Charlotte put that in there to remind me who our children are and our grandchildren are. Because I would look at the pictures and say, now who are those people? No, you know that's not the case. You know that they are there so that when you come to our house, you're introduced to our family. And the reason for that is we want you to feel like family when you're in our home. Which raises the question, why are there towels you can't use? Why are there towels? It took me 45 years to break my wife of this. You can't use those towels. That's for our guests. And why do you have soap that nobody can use? And the whole notion of that is what this room has in common with this room. And what they have in common is hospitality. And the whole notion of hospitality comes from an interesting Latin word, but I want you to understand there's a whole industry in our culture about hospitality. Hospitality means extending a welcome to guests or offering a home away from home. And the word is derived from the Latin word hospice, meaning host, visitor, or stranger. It's interesting, in that one word in Latin, you have the inclusion of host, guest, and even stranger. And it's that notion of stranger that we're going to see in Scripture, because someone who is a stranger is merely someone that you have not included as your friends or your family yet. As Jesus said, for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. You made me feel at home. You made me feel part of the family. When we lived in Oklahoma City, there was a Kawasaki dealer that had ads on the radio. And he would talk about the motorcycles they were selling. And at the end, he would always say, and as Papa Wheelie always says, and then you'd hear this guy say, we'll treat you like family. Well, I was in there once doing some looking around, and the guy, and I said, who does that voice? He said, I do. When I do that voice, I just take my teeth out. But the notion of we're going to treat you like family, that's the whole idea behind hospitality. That's what Jesus was saying. And remember, this is the final exam of when asked, what is it going to be like at judgment? Here are the things that he said. I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in, or you didn't do those things. And you know, they ask him, when did we do that for you? Or when did we not? When you did it unto the least of these, you did it unto me. Hospitality is the activity or business of providing services to guests in hotels, restaurants, bars, etc. That's what the hospitality industry is all about. Is when you stay in a hotel or a motel, they want you to feel like it's your home. And believe it or not, hospitality industry has taken over hospitals. I'll get to that in a minute. These words all come from the same, what the hospital room and the living room have in common is hospitality. That's what hospice has in common. And hospice originated as being able to give care in your own home, even if you're terminal. That you're able to pass from this life in the comfort of your home rather than in a quote-unquote sterile hospital. Hospital, hospice, hospitality. Do you see a theme here? And that's what's important that Jesus wants us to understand about how we treat one another. For a traveler, hospice refers to the historical meaning of the word hospice, which is a lodging for travelers, especially pilgrims, and the sick and dying, often maintained by a religious order. When folks would go to the Crusades, they would stay at hospices, and sometimes they were monasteries. If you were sick, if you were traveling and displaced, if you were traveling and didn't have money, you would go to a hospice, and they would provide lodging for the night and meals to send you on your way. If you were infirm or got infirm on your trip, they would take care of you. That's the notion of what hospice means. And again, the root of that is hospitality. Now we use the word hospice about a program designed to provide palliative care and emotional support to the terminally ill in a home or home-like setting so that quality of life is maintained and family members may be actively participate in the care. It's a beautiful thing. There's a women's center in Oklahoma City where a lot of women go to give birth because in their rooms, it is just like being in a master suite. It's gorgeous. And the beds look like home beds. They've got recliners that look like, it's designed to be a home away from home to have comfort while you're delivering your child, and for you and for the family. And that's how hospitality has actually started going back to hospitals. It's the idea of not just giving healing, but making you feel more at home. Romans chapter 12, verse 10 says, "Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honor, not lagging behind in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, persevering in tribulation, devoted to prayer, contributing to the needs of the saints, practicing hospitality." 1 Timothy chapter 3, "A bishop then must be blameless, husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach." Also about shepherds in Titus chapter 1, "For a bishop must be blameless as the steward of God, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, no striker, not given to filthy lucre, but a lover of hospitality," of making people feel at home. "Above all, keep fervent in your love for one another, because love covers a multitude of sins. Be hospitable to one another without complaint." Hebrews 13:2, "Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by this some have entertained angels without knowing it." All right, be honest with me. Are you guys angels? Okay. It's kind of like the police. You have to tell us you are if you are. Think about the notion of a stranger being an angel. And the Hebrew writer makes this point, and we know of several, Job's situation. We know of Abram and Sarai when angels came. They didn't know they were angels at first, etc. And the idea is if you're hospitable to everybody, you're going to get a good report with God, because some of them may actually be angels. Now, this is written way after those times when the possibility of visitation by angels was still real. So show hospitality, because have you ever wondered at a time, could that have been an angel? Well, the idea is if you'll show hospitality, you'll always be ready. And if we practice it, then we're always in the situation of being able to entertain. And wouldn't it be great if everyone that left our presence felt that connection? The essence of hospitality, hospice, hospital, is first comfort. Second is safety. Think of Job. When folks came into Job's house, they could feel safe. The only way they were going to be harmed is if he was overtaken. He offered his own daughters to the folks who were there to do harm. The angels were there to feel safe. And that was the idea of hospitality. You're safe. You're comfortable. It's a place to heal, as we talked about hospice in the old days. It's a place where you can be weak. A hospital is a place to let your guard down because you're home. Guys, that's what the welcome mat is for. That's why we introduce our family to you when you enter into our home. We want you to feel like you're among family. That's why we have, up until a few years ago, we had towels that no one in the house was allowed to use but you. Because we wanted you to feel esteemed. We wanted you to feel that not only were you family, but you were the most honored person in the family. Brothers and sisters, we do the same thing here. Our desire, because this is our home together, we all have homes together. We have built a place to come, to assemble, to worship, to fellowship, to be family, right? And where we do that, we want anyone that walks into this place to feel like they have received hospitality. We want them to feel safe. That's why we have security. We want them to feel comfort. We're not worried about what you wear. We want them to feel this is a place to heal, a place to be weak. This is a place where I can come and just be myself. Because, guys, let's be honest. Every one of us here is searching for something. Every one of us here is seeking. And this needs to be, I believe it is, a safe place to do that. A safe place to hurt. A safe place to heal. A place that you won't be attacked like in the world. A place to relax. A place to feel at home. The relationship between hospital and hospitality is both linguistic and functional. Etymologically, they share the Latin root related to guest. And functionally, the principle of hospitality are increasingly applied to hospitals to improve the patient experience, well-being, and satisfaction beyond just clinical care. You see, the clinical model in hospitals is a place that you get care, and you're going to have to put up with all kinds of things in order to get the care. That's why you're called a patient. You have to be patient. But the hospitality industry has begun to influence hospitals. And now they are striving to, you'll find that double occupancy is on the decline in hospitals. Who wants a roommate in pain? Who wants a stranger as a roommate when you're in pain? What they're striving to have is comfort around you, a place where you can relax, a place where you can heal, be free of harm and all of those kinds of things. And so even hospitals, ironically, are learning to be hospitable and not just clinical. And it's a marvelous, marvelous move, because what better place to heal than a home environment? Brothers and sisters, we've all come here today to heal. We've come to learn. We are sin-sick souls. Sin-sick souls need a place of comfort, safety, and protection. Arms to surround. Eyes that look deeply. Mouths that say, I understand. I can relate. From the time strangers enter our homes, our devotion is to them even over ourselves. When folks come here, there's a transition from here to God. There's a transition from family to focus and worship. The transition begins in the parking lot. The transition begins at the doors. The transition begins as we come together. And we have a certain amount of time to make every visitor, every traveler, feel at home. Feel like when I walk into the place, I feel welcome. Not clinical, but home. Hospitality helps them feel welcome and safe. And we're all searching for something. Then we turn our attention to God. And that's what we've been doing this hour. Our focus is not on each other right this moment. We've already established that focus. And we will refocus as soon as we dismiss. So it's a transition from self to connection to God to connection to fellowship. In a safe place that feels like home. One of the challenges that we've faced is making the transition from when we were in exile across the street, of the togetherness that we experienced there, and bringing that back into an auditorium. And brothers and sisters, that extends to this whole home that we share. Our hospitality allows folks to join us, not view us from the perspective of a stranger or outsider. Between the parking lot and seated in here, our desire is to make everyone feel like family. And then together, the family focuses on God. That's what communion is. That's what this is about. It's family connecting with God, having first connected with each other. In a safe place, in a place where we can be weak, in a place where it's okay if people see through us, because it's safe to hurt here. It's safe to fail here. This is home. And in that process, it could be an angel that comes to visit. You'll never know who they are. They won't reveal themselves, but they will reveal you and me to God. They will report what it was like to be a part of the family at South College. Did you feel a part? Yes, Lord. They drew me in. They showed me such hospitality. Or no, Lord, they were cold. They were indifferent. They were clinical. They were a hospital. But they weren't a home. They could be unknown angels walking through that door at any time. And now I'm going to turn the pulpit over to Terrell.
I can't add just a whole lot to what Steve so eloquently put. But to our guest, I do want to give you a little bit of backstory. In February, we had a pipe that had burst and flooded this entire building. And since that moment, we had, as Steve says, we had been in exile across the street. And we had it presented its challenges